dozens of ma'as, or women elders, that took Palau's government to court for trying to force a vote on the constitution that would overturn the 75% vote and replace it with a simple majority. And how did the Palauan government respond? They responded with intimidation and coercion. Utilities and water were shut off, government workers lost their jobs, and the ma'as and their families, they were terrorized. The ma'as involved in the lawsuit were subjected to death threats, a lot of times from drunk men who had lost their jobs. Law enforcement would show up at the ma'as' homes to force them to withdraw from the lawsuit. Shots were fired at their homes, and Mirar Gabriela Nirmang, her home was firebombed. Assassins targeting Miracabo Roman Bedor, who at the time was an attorney working in defense of the Constitution, mistakenly murdered his father. And because of the violence and the constant threats, the case was withdrawn, and the presiding judge invited the ma'as to resubmit the same case once it was safe for them to do so. In 1988, the Mirar and a group of Palauans traveled to the United States Congress and the United Nations to inform them that the case would be resubmitted, but that due to the dangers they were facing, they would need more time, alongside Mirar and the other Palauans, in what was ultimately a fight for self-determination. So in 1979, about 92% of Palauan people voted for a nuclear-free constitution, which included a clause that required 75% of voters to agree before nuclear weapons could be brought into Palau. This was the first time a clause banning or restricting nuclear activities had ever been included in a nation's constitution anywhere in the world. And unfortunately for Palau, the United States had already set its sights on about 1/3 of our land and our deepwater harbor for military purposes, which included using it for the storage of nuclear weapons. From 1979 to 1994, Palauans were forced to vote 11 times to uphold our unique and protective clause. And this wasn't the same issue on a consistent basis, but more because the United States felt we weren't voting the right way. Langirmang headed a group of literally dozens of ma'as, or women elders, that took Palau's government to court for trying to force a vote on the constitution that would overturn the 75% vote and replace it with a simple majority. And how did the Palauan government respond? They responded with intimidation and coercion. Utilities and water were shut off, government workers were terrorized. The ma'as involved in the enforcement would show up at the ma'as' homes to force homes.